Hi, I'm Danica Tormohlen with Trade Show News Network, and I am on the show floor at Expo Expo, and I am joined by John Wahle, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Maritz, and Aaron Dorsey, who is Vice President of Product Management. And we just wanted to chat with them a little bit about their presence here at the booth and a little bit about what you are working on technology-wise and cybersecurity-wise, since that's such a hot topic these days. Before we get started, tell us a little bit about you and how
Sure.
long you've been there and what you do.
Absolutely. It's good to see you, Danica.
Oh, wait, you know what? I'm on. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
So John Wahle, Chief Technology Officer, and my responsibility at Maritz is all aspects of event technology and the tech that runs our business, from the products that we deploy for our clients and their attendees to the systems that we use to run our business.
So that's pretty much the backbone of the company, right?
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. And Aaron?
And it's good to see you again, Danica.
Yeah,
Aaron Dorsey. I've been with Maritz for over 20 years, and my focus now is the Vice President of Product Management. So the products that our clients use, that our guests use, that are using our services for the event, my team manages all of that. So we're here showing off some of that new technology and the capabilities that we have in our booth.
Excellent. Are you rolling out some new products here at all?
Well, we are we're focused really on better together is what we're talking about now. And that's with the acquisition of Convention Data Services, CDS. We are bringing a lot of the products that we had, the capabilities, together to the organization, or to the industry, excuse me. So when we came together with CDS, we saw a lot of different technology capabilities and a lot of similarities. So what we've been working on is how we take better together, best of both worlds, and bring that to the market. So we're rolling that out a lot. And I can talk a little bit more in detail about that if you'd like.
So we just went through an acquisition and integration, and our ideas are the same, right?
Yep.
Better together. What you could take from each different product or each different company to put together to be
Exactly.
better, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
And I'll just add, for our customers, what's really important is that their input on what matters most to them about their event technology is number one. So it's not like a massive migration overnight to one platform or another. It's understanding what the client's needs are first, and then understanding, well, how can we bring the best products from both Maritz and CDS together to fulfill those needs over time.
it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, so tell us a little bit. How does Maritz integrate cybersecurity measures into its behavior science-driven approach to client engagement and experience design?
Absolutely. So cybersecurity and privacy are foundational. It's really important that we stay in front of changing cybersecurity risks, changing regulations, and we do that by having a very robust cybersecurity and privacy program. And that program, you can really think of it as having three main components to it. The first set is understanding what are the policies and the risk mitigations and the compliance that are going to drive our program. Secondly is having all the technical security controls. So how do we protect data, our clients and attendees' data, the Maritz organization, and so forth. And the third is making sure that we deploy the right talent and cybersecurity professionals to make that all happen on a day-to-day basis.
And I'd add to that, John, I think you said it best a couple of weeks ago. It's about making security a part of your culture at the organization. Onboard new employees, they're going through rigorous training and onboarding around not just like our technology practices, but our security practices as well. And it's annual compliance trainings. It's always top of mind because we know it's so important in our industry and every industry now.
And I'm sure it changes from year to year, different threats and different issues that come up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you think about things like AI and changing technologies, they bring changing risk landscape as well.
Yeah. So do you see your budgets increasing, like for in that area?
We do. At Maritz, we invest in tech very significantly, whether it's running our business or our clients and attendees' experience. And cyber goes right along with that. So that includes running on modernized infrastructure, such as in the cloud, and really it includes deploying a robust security team. So Maritz-wide, we have as many as 15 roles that are wholly dedicated to cybersecurity.
So what are some of your biggest challenges right now in terms of managing data for global events?
I think, two things come to my mind initially. One is the fact that companies can invest a lot in security and pay a lot of attention to it. And at times it comes down to the behaviors and actions of one individual user. So one individual end user clicking on the wrong link could result in a risk, right? So that's the first, is just that every individual, to Aaron's point, has to be well trained on the do's and don'ts around cybersecurity. And then the second is really complexity. So events can be very large and complex and have lots of providers in the mix. So how that whole ecosystem works well together to mitigate risk is really important. So I think those are two of the biggest challenges that come to mind.
So how do you overcome them? Training? What about in terms of like your things that you can't control, right?
Yep.
An attendee or an exhibitor somehow doing
Yep.
something.
I think it really starts with just like our goal is to design the right experience for the event. And that involves early conversations and early solution design, which is one of the main things that Aaron and his team drive, including in that early conversation discussion around security. So how are we going to understand what the risk landscape is? One of the best practices is to only collect the data that is essential to collect. And then once we do, store it in a secure manner, transmit it in a secure manner. So having conversations early, really important.
And what are the clients like when they're talking to you? What's their top concern when it comes to these around that?
I think they really want to know that we're in front of risk management and information security. They want to know that they can trust us as one of their key providers and know that we're going to work with other providers in the ecosystem and vet them as well to make sure that we mitigate risk for the client and the attendee data. So they really want to know we're in front of it and we have it covered for them.
You see the headlines and big, huge companies having attacks or going offline,
Yeah.
or their data is out there.
Yeah.
It's a daily occurrence in the Wall Street Journal.
It's a daily occurrence and no one wants to be in those headlines. That's a bad day when that occurs.
Yeah.
And so it's all about staying current, being trained, hiring the right professionals that are in front of those risks. So I go back to AI as a good example of a technology that's changing by the day, and mostly in great ways, but it's also bringing the threat along with it. So just like AI is amazing for the good actors, it's also efficient for the bad actors to do what they're going to do.
And you're putting in data that then you have to be careful, right, of what you put in there, because it is then not proprietary, right? I mean, depending on what services that you use. Yeah.
Exactly. So knowing what tools you're using and how they work and how your data is going to be used or not as part of those tools is really important.
I would also add there it's a partnership between our clients and other vendors too. We just have to be very rigorous in our compliance practices. So if we see something that doesn't fit one of our policies, we need to stop that action immediately. So it's even about how you send data back and forth between organizations and between a client and a vendor. We need to be very rigorous as we don't email that anymore. There's shared services that you can now pass data back and forth to. So being in front of that, I think, gives our clients a sense of security, no pun intended, but they get that feeling of Maritz is in front of this and they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a good point. Can you elaborate on Maritz's strategy for ensuring the privacy and security of sensitive customer and employee data in various services like, incentives?
Sure. Yeah, it's really a multifaceted approach, something we refer to as defense in depth. On one hand, you have very technical security controls, so making sure that we only collect the right data, but then once we do, controlling access to it. So strong authentication, for example, on who's allowed to access for the right business reasons that data. And then, as Aaron said, transmitting the data in a secure way, making sure that it's encrypted from point A to point B, or even when it's at rest in storage. So you have the technical security controls. Another element is certainly the education piece. You can build the iron gate around the perimeter, if you will, but if you have an end user who's not well trained and well versed, that represents the 1 foot wall in the perimeter. So having education is super important as part of that approach.
Sounds like Maritz is pretty on top of all of these things in terms of security and thinking about privacy and compliance and things like that. But I would guess that some clients may not be at that same level. So how, you said having conversations early on, But I'm guessing there's a lot of small businesses, there's a lot of small shows, even smaller corporations, even big corporations that's still in place. Advice, what do you do?
Yeah.
I'll start with a real life example that we've started to see dissipate over the years, but like paper forms, right? That was the thing, that collecting paper forms, faxing them in. There's not only like sensitive PII information, but there could be other information exposed. So we've really moved our clients away from doing that. Even some that have been, my exhibitors need that, my attendees need that. Let me tell you why this process is better, and then slowly starting to move them to, let's do this all online. Let's protect the data and only get the data that we need. And now we don't have to get these paper forms, enter the data, and then securely basically get rid of it. Like, these practices are more efficient for us and for our clients as well.
So leading them and helping, like being a consultant and getting, helping them understand.
I was going to use just that word, is showing up with a point of view and thought leadership to consult with the client and guide us jointly as partners down the right path. Super important.
What about, looking ahead, how do you see cybersecurity evolving in the context of data-rich environments like Maritz is, and what steps are you taking to stay ahead of the curve?
Yep, absolutely. I think in a general sense, threats are going to continue to grow. New risks and threats are going to come with new technologies, generative AI, machine learning, and so forth. And it's really a matter of investing and staying ahead of those things in terms of the technology that we deploy and the expertise that we deploy with our team members. Really important that we hire and continually train so that we're in front of those risks and managing them well for our clients.
What do you use in terms of AI? You guys are developing something internally, correct?
So the approach that we've taken with AI is to first understand the big play being efficiency and productivity first, right? Looking inward inside of Maritz, like a lot of companies are starting in this spot. How can we use it for day-to-day productivity improvements in order to learn not only productivity, but how does it work? What are the risks? How is my data being used with those technologies? And then once we have production applications in place internally, now we're in a position to say, oh, how can we apply this to events down the road? And really, I think showing up as a thought leader for our customers on how does a company get their arms around an AI strategy has been really beneficial for us as well to learn how our clients are thinking about it.
Yeah, it kind of seems like, to me anyway, kind of Wild West with AI. Like, everybody's doing their own thing. Some are trying different things. Yeah. It's not really necessarily a policy around it, and each employee is doing what they. So I don't. How do you? What's been your experience?
I think that's right, that it's wide and varied in terms of how companies are approaching this. Our approach has been somewhat more structured than that. We actually started by partnering with our Chief Privacy Officer, our Information Security Leader, and our CFO. And so making sure that we have a cross-functional approach to governing our approach to AI. Not necessarily to slow it down, but just to be aware of what's going on and to provide the right guidance along the way. So we really approached it in the way that structure first mattered. And it actually, I think, allowed us to go faster. Once we had that in place, it allowed us to go faster on some of our proof of concept projects.
So what are some things that you are using it for efficiency,
Sure. I think I like to look at it in two categories. First category is all employee productivity. Just like we all have tools to do our end user work on a day-to-day basis, providing a tool that is right alongside the search engine or the Office tool set so that an individual can use that tool for productivity day to day. The issue was choosing the right one, because we wouldn't want someone to put proprietary data, either of Maritz or our clients, into an AI prompt and have that data be now public domain or used to train a model. So we chose a tool for that type of AI that is secure, that requires a user to authenticate, and where our data is never used to train the model.
What are you using?
We use a lot of the common tools that you would know as the leaders in, let's call it just co-pilot sort of technology for end users. There's a lot of them out there and some really good ones. The second type of AI that I think about is more of a business application of AI. So that would be taking, let's say, a specific persona like someone who maybe writes proposals or someone who does event planning, for example, and now having a more targeted application of AI for them. How can their productivity be improved? And in those cases, you want to look toward tools that actually can go against your internal data where everything stays on the inside. And so those are the two parallel paths we have currently going.
Right. So every employee has a tool.
Yes.
That,
Correct.
Yeah.
great.
So
And it's proprietary, or it's not ChatGPT that's going
Correct.
out there. That the data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We vetted multiple tools to make sure the data that we sort of sanction for our employees is secure.
And we have a governance committee that essentially allows for like innovation and ideas to come up around AI. Then we talk about them as an organization and find out which ones are the right ones for Maritz and which ones bring unique value to our customers. So we're starting to get a lot of ideas of how we can start turning these inward efficiencies now outwardly to our customers, which is really exciting. I think there's a great opportunity around data, and generative AI was the new thing, but machine learning has been around for a long time.
Right.
How you aggregate data and how you learn from the data and how you deliver insights, that's where we're focused a lot on, and making that more efficient, because what humans couldn't possibly do is now possible through AI. And that's where we want to really leverage to make our teams more efficient, but to learn from the data better too.
One last question. So, as you look ahead to 2025, as technology officers and product officers, what are you excited about in terms of technology? What are you looking forward to that's hot, that's coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with a couple, and then
Yeah.
I know Aaron will have some to add. Not to keep going down the AI path, but I do think there's a lot of value and a lot of potential in the area of AI. This has really been the year to explore and understand how we can use it and understand the risks that come with it, and to do it in a very responsible way. So I see a lot of promise for both generative AI and, to Aaron's point, machine learning.
So, how do you think what do you think 25 will be? You said this year has been
Yeah.
about exploring, really
Yeah.
testing it, figuring out strategies.
So I think that this year was very much about the headlines, ChatGPT, Google's comparable products, and the list goes on and on. Now, what we're going to see moving forward is that any technology provider or partner or vendor that a company like us employs is going to have AI baked in. So it's going to be one of those things that it's another offering in existing partner tools. And I think that's going to make AI much more prominently adopted as we go. It's going to be in financial systems, HR systems, event systems, and so forth. And then I would probably add, as far as things to be most excited about, it's continuing the data journey and all the value that our data ecosystem can deliver to our clients along the way.
I still feel like we're early in that journey, too.
Very much.
Especially in this industry.
Absolutely. And there's a very close tie between data and AI. AI is only as good as the data underneath.
I'd say what I'm excited about is we're really leaning into and exploring and really engagement at events, right? We learned through the pandemic that events have to be here. We thrive for events. We thrive to be together and engaging, right? So we're focused on bringing a suite of products to the market essentially that allow for that engagement to truly happen, and let technology supplement that rather than get in the way. And what I mean by that is mobile apps have been around for a long time. Event apps have their place. They're for planning and they're for thinking about getting there. But once you're at an event, how do you make an experience totally frictionless, right? How do I exchange information without taking away from the conversation? So we're focused on doing that in a couple different ways: attendee to attendee, attendee to exhibitor, and then taking that and what we're learning about the real engagement and then making our products smarter. So start to suggest and offer things based off of the true engagements that's already happening at events, rather than making and forcing engagement through like a networking app and things like that. So we're trying to flip the model and how we're bringing technology to the forefront with that. And we're learning some great things about how our clients are reacting to it. It's one of the things we have on our roadmap this year that's getting a lot of buzz, and we're really excited to bring it out. So we can talk more about that as we get a little closer.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Of course.
And Aaron
Pleasure.
and John, I really appreciate it. And for TSNet, I'm Danica